Hello learners, this video is brought to you by the Cambridge School Dindoli, and today we are going to learn about chapter number 2 of standard 8, microorganisms. Now when you understand about microorganisms, first of all we must understand that there are different kinds of organisms living around us, and the very inception, the very beginning of life came itself from an amoeba. Amoeba was a microorganism. So microorganism is, what do you mean by microorganism? So organisms which are very minute and cannot be seen by naked eyes are known as microorganisms or microbes. Organisms which can be seen with the use of microscope. You cannot see them with your naked eyes. You cannot see just openly like you see any other animal like a cow or a buffalo. It is not visible very easily. You have to use microscope for that. And even some like viruses, they are not even visible from microscope also. So there are 5 types of organism we are going to learn over here. 5 major microorganisms are, first of all, bacteria. The second is fungi or fungi, whatever you want to call. Next is algae. The next one is protozoa, and the last ones are viruses. Viruses have created a lot more havoc in current days, so we'll learn it in the end. First of all, let us say bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. They are mostly plants, that means they create their own food. They have a cell wall around them which is quite rigid, and they do not have a definite nucleus, so we can say that they are prokaryotic. Prokaryotic means an organism which does not have a fix or a definite nucleus, so they are generally considered as the prokaryotic. So bacteria are the prime example of prokaryotic cells. We can classify bacteria into 3 different parts. First is coccus. Coccus, that means in the shape of sphere. Second is bacillus, that means it is in the shape of rod. And third is spirillum, that means it is in the shape of spiral, that is spring, helical. So we can divert bacteria into these 3 types of cell. Next one is fungi. Fungi is a non-green plant, but it is a saprophytic. Saprophytic means dependent upon the dead animal or dead plants. So they are generally unicellular, and like penicillium, they are multicellular. Penicillium are very useful antibiotic for in medicine world, and it was invented by Alexander Fleming. There are 2 types of fungi. The first one is yeast, and the second one is mold. The third microorganism we are going to learn is very much around us. This is algae. Algae is a green substance which are found floating over the surface of the water bodies. Even when there is raining around us, we can see that there are green substances where if you put foot upon it, you can slip. So these are the autotrophic nutrients, that means they create food by themselves. They have photosynthetic material inside them, that is chlorophyll. They are mostly unicellular, and they can also live inside in the colony. And multicellular algae can be a very long matter of concern, that means it can be a very few meter long. The most common are Anabaena and nostoc. The nostoc, which are mostly found around us or nearby in the farm. The other ones are Spirogyra, which is also very common, and Oscillatoria. These are the common algae. Next is Chlamydomonas. These are also the algae which can be found around us. The other one is protozoa. Protozoas are very notorious because if you see, we are facing cholera or malaria. These are these are the cause done by the protozoans. So protozoans are mostly unicellular, and they are a big cause of disease for human beings, animals, and plants, which we will learn further. Common protozoans are amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. These are very commonly found in the water, the drainage water or sewer water. The last one, which is creating a lot of news these days, that is virus. We must understand one thing about virus, that virus is kind of non-living sort of microorganism. That means it is not living, it requires another body to grow. So if it is just on the surface of table, it is not going to grow anywhere. But if you touch it, or if you take it inside your body via any other medium, then it is definitely going to harm you. Then it is going to eat whatever nutrients you have. And if your body immune system is not equipped, like we are not equipped at present to fight against the coronavirus or Chinese virus, so that is something that our body creates. So they are the propagation propagating microorganism inside our body, and they mostly are observant only under electron microscope. Normally you cannot see virus. It has a protein coated, and it has nucleic acid inside it, and it can cause a very very big damages to humans, animals, and plants alike. Now if you see about the advantages and disadvantages, see, everything has a good side and a bad side. Everything has pros and cons. So certain microorganisms are very useful to us also. For example, nitrogen fixation, which we will learn in the future. Antibiotics, there are different kinds of antibiotics around us. And lactobacillus is the kind of bacteria which helps us to convert milk into a curd. So bacteria are somewhere useful to us, but it is also very disadvantageous to us, like citric canker, which is found in the plant. It is a bacterial disease. TB, tuberculosis bacterial, cholera, anthrax, typhoid, these are the disadvantages of bacteria, that if we get it inside our body, it can harm us. Similarly, fungi are useful to make alcohol or vinegar. Even it is very useful for breads, cheese, beer, wine industry, and in fermentation. We will learn fermentation in some other time. Mushrooms and yeast are very important food items in our regular life. Even penicillium is a fungi which is used as an antibiotic. But again, if you have seen in the monsoon season, so it can spoil food, and even it can create rust in plants. So as we discussed, that there is a thing called fermentation. So fermentation, what you can do is, you can put some water, you can add yeast into it, and if you add sugar or glucose into it, so what it will do is, it will create abiotic respiration. Certain energy will also be released, but it will also have ethanol, which is alcohol, and carbon dioxide. So with the use of this carbon dioxide, we can make the cakes or the idli, the batter, very fluffy. At that same time, the use of alcohol is to make any alcoholic drink like beer or you can say wine. So the more fermentation happens, the more alcoholic that thing becomes. So this is a very big, important use of fermentation, and in bakery industry or in beverage industry, it is a very very important use over there. Next is algae. Algae are used to make jellies. They are sometimes used in jams as a thickening agent, ice creams. But the biggest disadvantage of algae is the eutrophication. What is eutrophication? that it creates a layer of algae over the surface of water, and because of that the oxygen cannot pass inside the water, so the water starts to stink. The water does not get the proper amount of oxygen which it should get, and because of that the aquatic animals living under it can get affected. So this is a big disadvantage of algae. So the pathogens which are around us, they are microorganisms which create disease. So there are two types of pathogens. First is cellular, which are living, which are like bacteria or fungi or protozoans, even parasites like tapeworm. These all are cellular, which are living. Then there are acellular, which are non-living, like viruses, like COVID-19, the Chinese virus which we are facing. So this is an acellular which goes inside your body and then eats the nutrients from the body and procreate, whereas the cellular ones are the ones which are already living, and when they go inside your body they procreate without even taking your body into consideration. So when you have different types of disease spread, so there are different types of disease spread by virus and protozoan, and we can divide them into two parts. First is communicable disease. Communicable disease are the diseases which require any vector, that means it requires a certain body to infect from one person to another. So when you are facing coronavirus or Chinese virus, so it required human spit or human urine to transfer from one to another. If you touch anybody having coronavirus, so you will also get infected, or there are chances that you will get infected by it. So it is a communicable disease. There are also non-communicable disease like diabetes or cancer, which you do not spread by touching. So these are communicable diseases spread by the virus, and as far as protozoans are concerned, their vectors are mostly animals, insects like flies, mosquitoes, cockroaches. They carry disease carrying microbes, and they are called carriers or vectors. Cholera, which is spread by housefly, and malaria, which is spread by the female Anopheles mosquito. This is because of protozoa. Dengue, which is spread by the female Aedes mosquito. This is also a protozoa. Chickenpox is spread through air or contact. Polio is spread through air or water. Hepatitis B is spread through water. So these are the waterborne disease or water transfer disease. So over here we can say that water is the carrier over there. And in plants also, yellow vein mosaic in bhindi is spread by the virus. So to prevent that, we require preservatives, and there are different methods of preservation. There are certain traditional methods like drying. If you dry avla or certain other fruits, so they can be preserved from getting spoiled. In olden Egyptian days, where mummy used to be there, so when they used to make mummies, they would preserve the dead body into salt and sodium bicarbonate. So it will help to take out the water from the from the body. When you are cooking food also, when you add salt or sugar, so it takes out water from the sabji or from the vegetables, whatever you have put into it. So you feel the taste of that water, and that is where you feel the different kinds of taste of different types of vegetables, right? There are other methods also, like you can can it, you can boil that thing, you can freeze. There is a thing called pasteurization. Pasteurization is the technique invented by Louis Pasteur, where you boil water up to 78 degrees Celsius and then suddenly drop the temperature to 14 or 15 degrees Celsius. So in both the processes, the microorganisms, the pathogens can get killed, and you get the pure form of milk in your house. So these are the pasteurization technique. The last thing which we can understand is the nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen is a very essential part of our agriculture, because there are three main components which are required by the plant to grow: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Now phosphorus and potassium are mostly found inside the soil, but nitrogen, which is having 78% of air in the atmosphere, it has to be nitrified into the soil. So how does it happen? It happens via two way. First of all, via lightning. When lightning strikes, around 20,000 joules of energy is produced, and nitrogen is fixed inside the soil. The other way is rhizobium bacteria found on the leguminous plant. We learnt it in the 7th standard that leguminous plants root and the rhizobium bacteria have symbiotic relationship. So rhizobium bacteria nitrifies the nitrogen in the air and it mixes into the soil. Then that soil, when plants are added into it, so plants soak the nitrogen via water into the air, into the plants or trees. The animals eat them. Many animals excrete or urinate them. They again go inside the soil, and when denitrification bacteria are there, they denitrificate the nitrogen and again puts it into the atmosphere. So this is how nitrogen fixation happens inside the nitrogen cycle, and it helps nitrogen to get inside the soil and makes the soil very nutrition. So this is how we can say that nitrogen is fixed inside the soil, and these are the uses, the advantages, the pros and the cons of the microorganisms. Thank you very much. If there is any doubt, you can write in the comment section, and we will try to reply to that. Thank you very much. Have a good day.